First of all, this was just a fantastic weekend of college football. There were so many great games. Let's just start there for the spectacle that we got to see.
All right. Do you have any specific game you want to start with?
I guess
Or
I'm
thought it was
assuming
just
Alabama Auburn.
Well, Alabama Auburn is one that we've talked about a lot today, and then Jim Harbaugh finally getting the monkey off his back
yes.
in a snowstorm in Ann Arbor. It just what a beautiful ending to that game.
Yeah, and the other neat thing is, and I think all of these games were on different networks, but you started the day with Michigan State at noon on Fox, and it basically, Michigan Ohio State at noon on Fox. That basically transitioned you into the Iron Bowl, and then you capped your night on maybe ABC, I think, with the Bedlam Bowl, Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, which was a fabulous game. And if you want to stay up really late, even the BYU USC game late Saturday night, the last game of the pre-Lincoln Riley era, was a really compelling contest, and BYU coach Kalani Sitake, in my opinion, is probably a top 10 coach in college football.
Ooh. Well, let's get into some of these coaching moves. Again, John Brice is on. So you brought up the pre-Lincoln Riley era. He goes to USC. So here's my first question about this before we even get into what might get to Heupel or not. Or how. Is this a lateral move?
From Tennessee to Oklahoma, would that be a lateral move?
No,
Lincoln
Riley.
For Lincoln Riley from from Oklahoma to USC.
Oh, hell no. No, that's not a lateral move. No. USC is a top 5 job in the sport, in my opinion, because every year you're going to get enough talent within a 100-mile radius of your campus to put together a roster that can compete for a college football playoff spot. Yeah. Oklahoma is a great job. I'm not at all slighting Oklahoma as a job, but Oklahoma's not as good a job as USC, and there are a number of factors for that. And by the way, the Oklahoma job isn't as good right now as we visit as it was 6 months ago before they joined the SEC. And I think you'll see Oklahoma have a lot of really good candidates right now for this position. I think Brent Venables is an early front runner, but I don't think it's the same group of candidates they would have had 6 or 8 months ago if Lincoln Riley just up and left for the NFL before Oklahoma joined the SEC. So, no, it's not a lateral move. Oklahoma to USC is a step up for Lincoln Riley, period.
Reason why it's interesting when you say lateral move, I know historically USC is better, but is he getting paid more? Yeah. That's why it could become it's a lateral move. The numbers haven't come out, but I think he was making around $7 million. I'm not sure. What is his numbers? Do you know?
Well, my boss at FootballScoop, the president owner of the company, lives in Baton Rouge, is deeply connected there. We're both fortunate to have some contacts within the LSU community. The word there is that Lincoln Riley turned down somewhere in the neighborhood of $12 million or so a year, maybe on an 8-year deal at LSU for around $100 million. So I would think that the word is that USC matched or exceeded that. Now, $12 million in California is crazy money. It's not as long as $12 million in Louisiana, but that's cost of living for you. So he's definitely getting a raise. He's definitely getting a huge raise in pay and in profile, but it won't be the same as if he was making $12 million at Oklahoma or LSU. And I don't think this was a move strictly about the bottom line. I think this was a move about it was a business decision about his future and his ability to win. Yeah. And you're going to have an easier time winning at USC with that homegrown talent in the Pac-12 than you're going to have at Oklahoma for the next couple of years in the Big 12 and then in the SEC, period.
John Brice laying it down. All right, one more just while we're going down this path. Yeah. So
who are the targets?
So, yeah, who before we get into LSU, anything like that, who are the targets for Oklahoma? This Bob Stoops is leaving the broadcast booth to be the coach for the bowl game. Should Tennessee fans be at all nervous that at some point this gets to Heupel, or is there still a frosty deal from being fired all those years ago?
Yeah, I have enough people I trust telling me that as much as Heupel loves his alma mater and appreciates what he did there with Bob Stoops, that Bob Stoops and Josh Heupel maybe didn't part on the best of terms, that some people thought Stoops might make other staff changes rather than Josh Heupel at the time, but he went with Josh Heupel and kind of sacrificed him early in his career. So And Bob Stoops still carries probably the biggest stick of anybody around the Oklahoma program. So I just don't see it going to Josh Heupel. I don't see it going that far down the list. It's not a knock on Josh Heupel. I think if not for Lane Kiffin and Sam Pittman, Josh Heupel would be your SEC Coach of the Year. But I just don't see it getting down to him. Here's another critically important thing to remember that I refreshed myself with today looking at his contract. If Josh Heupel leaves Tennessee before December 15th, 2022, he owes $8 million. Not December 15th, signing day coming up here 2 weeks from Wednesday. December 15th, 2022. If he leaves before then, somebody has to pay Tennessee $8 million. And, yes, Oklahoma has money, but I'm not sure that at this point in time Oklahoma wants to invest $8 million just to get Josh Heupel away from Tennessee and then have to invest crazy money to hire Josh Heupel. And, again, I would point to the fact I think Heupel has proved to be a very brilliant offensive coach. He far exceeded most expectations for the Tennessee program this year. But we still don't know enough about Josh Heupel as a recruiter, and I think that's what everybody is kind of waiting to see before passing full judgment on what Josh Heupel can or cannot do at the University of Tennessee.
John Brice, our guest, Football Scoop, at John D. Brice1. You want to follow him on Twitter right now.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you about Napier to Florida. Is that a good fit? And I guess explain to me why it is.
I think it's a really good fit. To be honest with you, I think that, and when I've studied Billy Napier over the past couple of cycles, and he and I have some really close mutual friends from his time. Well, first of all, he's a Tennessee native from Cookeville, and then we have a bunch of mutual friends in the coaching world. He's learned under Dabo Swinney, he's learned under Nick Saban, and he learned under Jimbo Fisher for a year that just happened to be the year that Florida State won the national title when Fisher was head coach at Florida State. So he's already got ties in the state. He's already got some name recognition there. And he's learned under 3 national championship winning coaches that are out there right now. Maybe the only 3. There's a crazy stat out there about how many coaches are active going in from this season into the next that have won a national championship, and Jimbo and Nick Saban and Dabo are right at the top of that list, and Billy Napier worked for all 3 of them. Also, when we listened to Scott Strickland Sunday a week ago, so just 9 days ago, he basically telegraphed in his press conference, and I said it to some people at the time, that he was going after Billy Napier because he talked about developing talent, sustaining success, and also being able to recruit and develop that talent. And that's what Billy Napier has done. And he has won 39 games, a chance for a 40th win in just 4 years at Louisiana Lafayette program that is not rich in heritage, but he's turned them into a nationally viable program. I would think that Billy Napier is getting ready to get 1 or more assistants from the NFL ranks to join his Florida staff. I think he'll put together a really good staff. I think Florida made a really good hire with a guy who understands what life in the South and life in the SEC, particularly from a football standpoint, is like, and who's been very selective and frankly ignored Tennessee in recent years and ignored Mississippi State or didn't take jobs at Mississippi State or Auburn or Tennessee or even South Carolina. He's been very, very selective. I like the hire for the Florida Gators.
No doubt. When would